Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program. It's a Saturday morning and once again great to be with you. We're going to be talking memories of Hajj. We do know that our loved ones, or most of our loved ones, have started making their way home after the wonderful journey of a lifetime. We'll be looking at maintenance issues with legal aid, and then mom and daughter duo to talk about mother and daughter relationships. So all of that on the show this morning. Stay with us. Let's kick off by talking about amazing, wonderful, spiritual memories of the most amazing journey of a Muslim's life, and that is the Hajj. And in studio with me, second time around, we had him on the show in Ramadan, is Sheikh Dawood Mndebele, talking about his memories of Hajj. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for having me.
And Jazakallah for taking up the offer to be here. Now, when we talk about memories of Hajj, we know by now most of the pilgrims have returned home or are making their way home. What are you feeling? And I have no doubt in my mind that you have family and lots of friends who've been on this amazing journey, and you will either have already met them or will be in the process of meeting them. How are you going to interact with them? Because they're in a heightened state of spirituality, alhamdulillah.
It sort of brings memories of your own trip. You're excited for them because it's as you've rightfully pointed out, it's a trip of a lifetime. We know Muslims, and I think in South Africa we do not realize what this trip means. Maybe Cape Town is the closest we have to other parts of the world where you have somebody that makes a niyyah 20 years earlier, start selling, be it samosas, be it cook sisters, with one intention, that one day, alhamdulillah, I'll go for Hajj. I think in Joburg and Durban, most of us tend to save a lot quicker, a lot easier, and the trip does not have that sacrifice that has 20 years of a build-up towards it. When you are there, you meet people from Bangladesh, you people from India, elderly people. It's those countries, and those people have saved a lifetime. So those memories come in of realizing a culmination of somebody's dream, of something that has taken somebody an entire lifetime, an entire saving. Some of the poorest people that have made this niyyah and now are coming back. So I can only imagine the fulfillment, the excitement. So it actually takes you back to the excitement of interacting with these global citizens, and it shows that the broad scope of Muslims, because we tend to be narrow in how we see Islam, but Hajj definitely opens up that we are a global nation.
Absolutely. I just want to go back to the Western Cape. And I think for me, when I look at that community, I happened to be there one year, a long time ago, when it was the Hajj season. And just the amount of preparation, the love, the support, the excitement in helping prepare that family member on this ultimate journey. And it was the highlight or the event of the year or the lifetime in that family's life. And there was so much of emphasis and so much of respect afforded to that family member that was going on the Hajj. And I think we in the rest of the country have lost the spirit of the preparation. When a person goes on Hajj, we just treat it. Sometimes we just don't, we're so quiet about it. And I think it's something that needs to be celebrated in a very, very big way. Afforded the due amount of celebration and respect that I am going to Allah's house, or I have returned from my journey. And even on the return from the journey, you have that home, that community is flooded with family and friends for days on end.
I think you've hit it on the nail. It could be twofold. The one fold could be the ease with which some of us in other parts of the country, get to manage to go for Hajj. And we haven't created that communal spirit. I mean, I know whenever I'm in Cape Town around Hajj time, the masjid starts making an announcement. It's a whole, with us, in your own masjid, you'll get a WhatsApp. Somebody says, Alhamdulillah, I've been accepted, please make me maaf. We're more worried about just making maaf. But that whole experience, that whole excitement that goes with the journey, we don't have in Joburg and Durban. I haven't seen that. But in Cape Town, I agree with you. The excitement, the community involvement, the imam involvement, the announcements in the masjid, the accompanying of the person to the airport, it truly is a momentous thing. And I think it has to do with also, apart from the community itself, the sacrifice that's involved for those that go for Hajj. As I've said, that I've come across families where people don't say I'm poor. A person says, I would love to go for Hajj. And they actually go out of their way and start doing a trade, start doing something and deliberately saving money towards that. And I'll take this to the community I come from. I come from black Muslims. I want to encourage them to look at Cape Town, because most of us assume if I don't have X amount of money, therefore I have to sit and let so-and-so sponsor me to go for Hajj. Being sponsored, alhamdulillah, has its place. But I would love our people to have that yearning desire and also go out and start saving the very little that they have. And Allah will put so much barakah that will make it easier for them, inshallah, to visit the house of Allah.
Alhamdulillah, and you've touched on something very important here. You're talking about the black Muslim community. And you're so right when you say that, for them to go on Hajj may never be ever realized because of perhaps their financial situation. And they would obviously be able to go if somebody sponsors them. How are you becoming involved, or how are you participating in getting them to that next level, in instilling that love to fulfill the fifth pillar of Islam?
I don't want to create the impression that all black Muslims get sponsored, which is important to clarify.
Of course.
Alhamdulillah, through Allah's fadl, I managed to fund myself on 2 trips. And I'm not saying that to show off, but just to demonstrate that even within the black community, there are those of us that are conscious, and Allah has opened up sources and means for us to be able to go for the Hajj.
But the reality is that the larger community is unable to do so.
Majority of the community is unable to do so. One of the things that we started toying with, and it's a discussion point, is to say, do we as a community start creating a kitty and put money together to take one person, almost like sending an ambassador on our behalf.
What a brilliant idea.
So we start putting money and we say, there's an elderly person who's been a Muslim for 30 years in this masjid, has never been afforded an opportunity. It's a discussion, it hasn't materialized, but that's the discussion we're starting to take place, to say, we all as a community will have a share in that person's Hajj. I'll put my 100 rands. That one will put their 20 rands, their 30 rands, and that money put together. And it's not something new to us as black people. It's always been umpago. When a person is going on a trip, it's always been that you send something, be it a dombolo or a chicken or whatever else. In this case, it will be cash, that you assist somebody on the journey that they take. And this is a Mubarak journey that has so much barakah. Imagine the barakah that will come back to our community if all of us stand together and this year send this person, the following year send the next person. So it's a discussion taking place within the leadership structures, and hopefully it will be realized soon, inshallah.
And alhamdulillah, and that experience of the Hajj, imagine when they come back and do what the Cape Townians do, is to share their memories with everyone that comes to meet and greet them. And just going back to the Western Cape community, and I have no doubt in my mind this plays out in other Muslim countries as well, like Indonesia, Malaysia, etc. It is the event of the year, or the highlight in that person's lifetime, based on the fact that this is a personal invitation for you to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house.
I've been fortunate to travel across the continent, so I've come across Muslims in different parts of the world. If you go to places like Nigeria, a person will have all the titles in the world. The minute he comes back from Hajj, he removes this, even from their business cards, some of them, the title doctor or whatever, and put Al-Hajj. One of the richest people on the continent is Dangote, and he is known as Al-Hajj Aliko Dangote. The title of people will not know what qualification he has, but the title of Al-Hajj is there. I'm told, and this I don't know for a fact, that in Egypt, even a certain color, those that have gone for Hajj, paint the roof or the color of the house, changes for the person who's gone for Hajj. And anyone walking in that neighborhood would identify that in that house there's a Hajj that's sitting there. In South Africa, we tend to underplay, underscore, and you say, no, I don't want people to go and whatever else. In other parts of the world, a person who's gone for Hajj is taken very seriously. And the title, I know for a fact in Nigeria, it's a very, very high title that a person drops all other titles to be known as Al-Hajj.
Well, that's such a high esteem being afforded to that person. It is so dignified, and truly, what a better honor can you give to the person by, like you say, painting the roof a different color, or changing your business card, dropping other titles and adding the Al-Hajj or whatever it is to your name. Alhamdulillah, you are right. We should stop downplaying it, and we should honor this invitation, honor the fact that we were called on this journey of a lifetime. As we speak about the Hajj, what stands out for you? You've been fortunate enough to go on 2 pilgrimages. What was the first one like, and how did it compare with the second time that you went on Hajj?
The first time I went for Hajj was 2005. My wife was expecting our little one, so unfortunately she couldn't join me. She was not impressed by the idea that I was leaving her behind, but I was fortunate to travel with some colleagues. What hit me the first time was the size of the Kaaba. You see so many pictures of the Kaaba, and you stand there for the first time in front of it. I did not expect it to be that big. And there's something that Allah puts, the tears. I'm generally not a person to cry that easily, but the first time I looked at the Kaaba, tears just started rolling uncontrollably. And that was a highlight. To think a sinner like myself, with all those shortcomings, to be afforded an opportunity to stand in a house that was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam, by Ismail, and you then sit down and realize that I'm sitting in an air condition. It's still slightly challenging. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam built this in the heat, with zero aircon, with zero covering. And at the end of it all, they say, Rabbana taqabbal minna. Oh Allah, accept this from us. So it's also important for those of us that do take this journey to not become haughty, to not think you've done anyone a favor. When Ibrahim and his son built this house under such difficult condition, and their concern was that it must be accepted by Allah. So seeing the Kaaba for the first time in my first Hajj was wonderful. I was blessed the second time.
Hold that thought, let's go for our first ad break. And all I can say to that is Allahu Akbar. Dawood Mndebele is here talking to us about Hajj memories. Do stay with us. We need to go for our first ad break. And welcome back to Memories of Hajj on this Saturday morning with Maulana Dawood Mndebele. He's already recounted his first experience of this absolutely awesome journey. Let's hear how it compared with his second Hajj, inshallah.
The second time around, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to go with my wife because I had left her behind, to take my mother with me and my mother-in-law with. There's 2 things that stand out for me. Excuse me. The first one being, we visited Uhud, and the emotions my mother felt standing on Uhud, where the archers were requested to stand, and looking at the qabr of the Sahaba that were lost there. And you think, this deen did not come to us easy. People's lives were lost.
Millions of lives.
People sacrificed everything so that the name of Allah must be known on this earth. So standing there and imagining the Nabi of Allah also being part of that thing, and I could see the emotions on my mother's face, the tears, the crying, and I was explaining to her, giving her the history lesson, how the battle took place, where Hazrat Khalid bin Walid came from the back of the army, how the Muslims suffered the losses of life that they suffered when it looked like it was a victory. That was one highlight. The second highlight was Muzdalifah. I had gone out of my way to explain to my parents and my wife where they're going to be sleeping. But when
and the explanation, did you explain to them why they were going to be sleeping under the stars?
With all that was discussed, but I was preparing them for the mental part that there's no bed, it's just sand. And as we were approaching, you see the Afghanis, they'll tend to walk up the rocks and just sleep on top of the rock and things like that. They didn't quite get it. When we stopped at a place and we said, that's it. And they looked at it and said, no, put your Hajj mat and that's it, we're sleeping here. They mentally were not prepared for that. But what they all shared in the morning is that they never ever had a better sleep than that. And I recall, I've been blessed to sleep there twice. It's incredible how in every other atmosphere you want your blankets, you want this. On a piece of sand with just a Hajj mat underneath you, the quality of sleep that you get out of there is incredible. So those
and I agree with you there, because when I went in 2014, the thought that went through my mind is, how am I ever going to sleep here with all these millions of people around me, number one, and I'm sleeping on a grass, the Hajj mat. Put my head down, and the next time I opened my eyes, it was morning, and I couldn't believe that I'd slept through it all.
It's probably one of the miracles of Hajj. The ability to sleep in Muzdalifah, because it goes against everything that we are used to.
Absolutely.
And yet, as you said, the number of people around you, generally, we all have the privacy when you sleep. To suddenly have those. And the other highlight, Allah...
And just before you move to the next highlight, what do you believe is the lesson we're meant to be learning from Muzdalifah?
I think there's a Quranic ayat which speaks, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ, that this life of this world is nothing but deception. We put so much effort, so much emphasis on material things. My roof must be this, my house must be painted this color. All these things that when we drop dead and leave this world, we leave with nothing.
Absolutely.
Yet when you sit there in Muzdalifah, under the invitation of the Creator, following the sunnah of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, you sit there under the open sky, and Allah shows you that I can still bless you with an incredible sleep in those conditions. So I think what you want is to take out of there is to say, these material things that we harbor after so much, they're not everything. They truly are not everything.
And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest of protectors.
That's it. In that environment, where in inverted commas, you are naked. You are literally just out there in the streets. That's correct.
Another highlight?
I was also blessed that when we were sitting in Mina, we met Hujjaj from Nigeria. Nigeria sends close to 80,000 Hujjaj a year.
Sure.
I think people don't underestimate. And the population of Nigeria is said to be anything between 150 million to 200 million people. Half of those people are Muslims. And an incredible structure. One day when we have time, I'll go to a bit of the history of the development, some of the work that was done by people like Sheikh Uthman Danfodio, the Mujaddid of the previous century. But suffice to say, Nigeria sends thousands of people. And some of the brothers decided, let's walk through the tents of Mina. And Mina, as those that have been there, is structured, and people are based in terms of their countries. The South Africans would sit next to each other. And we got there. And when the Nigerians saw us, we were called up and said, no, Muslims from South Africa, please come and join us. And the next thing, one was requested to give a lecture. And you are speaking to almost so many thousands of Hujjaj. Unexpectedly, in Mina, you then sit down and you think of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam having been walking from tent to tent in Mina. Who is going to assist me with this mission of deen? When the people of Yathrib, before they became Medina, took up this challenge. And then you sit there and you are given this honor to speak to fellow Muslims, and you think back that at the time when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an individual, being shunned out, no one listening to him, walking around, and here the result and the efforts being accepted by Allah, now millions of us walking tent to tent without fearing that our lives or our person is in danger. That also stood out for me, and Allah had blessed me with that opportunity.
What did you talk to them about?
Actually, I mentioned the incident of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say, how far have we come? Where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was standing here as a single person looking for shelter, and the people of Yathrib accepted that, and today they are blessed with having the Mubarak body of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their presence. And that's something else, maybe jumping on to another experience of Hajj is, Makkah has the Kaaba. You can never take that away. But Allah has blessed Medina with both times. I've never felt peace in my entire life as I felt the days I spent in Medina. There is just a certain amount of peace. You have almost the same number of people that will visit Medina that visit Makkah. Makkah, it feels rushed. People are performing tawaf. People tend to push. There's this thing, people putting hands on you. You know, around that thing, the temperatures do rise. When they say you need to be patient, it's very true because we come from different backgrounds. But once you get to Medina, the very same number of people just tend to slow down. When you visit a road, the people are willing to give you a chance to go through. There's just a different atmosphere where people's temperatures, everything about them calms down in Medina, and you can tell that you're sitting in the presence of a great person.
Did you have the opportunity to read Salah on the White Musalla?
So the White Musalla, just for those that do not know, there's a hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, between my house and my member is among the gardens of Jannat. So when Allah blessed me with the opportunity of going, we did read Salah there. And fortunately, one of the advices I was given by Maulana Yahya Pam was to say, Dawood, when you get there, make the dua that, Ya Allah, your promise is never a lie. And you mention that if a person enters Jannat, you'll never take him out. Your Nabi has never lied. He says this is part of Jannah. You've afforded me the opportunity to enter Jannah. Never ever take me out of Jannah. Yes, I was afforded the opportunity. But the funny story is that the first time I went for Hajj, we started in Medina. The very first Salah I read, I was standing right in front of the road of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but my orientation was not yet correct, so I didn't even know. But I was wondering, why is everyone trying to stand here? And I didn't know. But yes, I was standing in front of the road at the very first Salah that I performed in Medina.
MashaAllah, that's wonderful. Let's get back to the final 5 days of Hajj. The Hajj is really the 5 days and the rituals around those 5 days. What stands out for you as far as that is concerned? And let's talk spirituality. You know, people often say, I'm very spiritual, or I was on a spiritual high, or the spirituality I felt when I was in the Holy Lands has dissipated, or I don't feel that closeness any longer, though I still continue once they get back home and after the 40 days has passed. I still, read my Salah, I still make as much ibadah as I can, but that special spirituality that we felt when we were in the Holy Lands, you can only feel it there and nowhere else in the world. Do you concur with that?
It will be very difficult to move Arafah and come back with a level that you feel when you're standing in Arafah. So those places are there to uplift you. But when you do come back, I don't think it's possible for one to maintain that level throughout here. You'll come back, you will be a different person. You will see your outlook to life. The other thing that I think also happens, even the barakah in your sustenance. People that I've known that have gone for Hajj, I've never seen somebody coming back from Hajj and struggling. So there is a lot of barakah from going from Hajj, but I do not think you can replicate the spirituality and the heights that you reach when you are. These are special days, it's a special place, and that's why one has to go there to experience it.
We have 2 minutes left to wrap up time. You mentioned Arafah now, and that is the highlight of Hajj, alhamdulillah. And of course, we didn't talk about the stoning of the Shaitaan. Do you just want to cover those two aspects very quickly?
I mean, the stoning of the Shaitaan has been made a lot easier. The first year when I was there was a stampede, and that's when it was broken down and it was built the way it is. So in terms of the practical aspect of getting in and out, the movement has been made a lot easier. But I think, and it's funny to see how people actually think that's the rock and the symbolism of it. And I think it's important for us to think, what are we doing? What was happening there? Nabi Ibrahim was being tempted from going against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the very command he was given was a difficult one. Having waited for so long to have a son, now give up the son. Somebody is coming to you and giving you a way out. That's something we should take out of there to say, when I go back home, inshallah, all the waswasas, all the temptations, all the things that will distract me from focusing on my Creator, I will do the same. So that's what we, inshallah, should take out of that. The Arafah one, the important part is to remember we are coming back there. And on that day, the whole of creation will be there. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, Nabi Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam will be there. Everyone will know, and our actions will be shown. Let's raise our hands and ask Allah to forgive us. But remember, when I interact with people, privacy and otherwise, that it will be reflected on that day. Therefore, I need to get my act right. So apart from the dua, apart from raising the hands and requesting of things that we want, we should not forget that we will stand on that place on a day when our Creator will be in front of us and will be asking us about our time on earth.
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on the path of Siratul Mustaqim.
Ameen.
Keep us grounded, accept our du'as, inshallah, and may we go again and again and again and again to the Holy Lands. Shukran very much for sharing your Hajj memories with us. Remember us in your du'as, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Maulana Dawood Mndebele sharing his Hajj memories with us, and I can't stop hearing stories of memories of Hajj, and I think it's going to be a while still before I stop talking and asking people to share their memories with us, not only here on ITV but also in my private capacity. Don't go away, we're going to be talking about women and maintenance with legal aid. Welcome back, and from that spiritual high with Dawood Mndebele, we come back down to earth with the bump, and we come down to bread and butter issues. We're going to be talking maintenance or non-payment of maintenance with the civil principal attorney at Legal Aid. He is Magate Nkgapele. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and he's here to talk about all of those issues and more. Morning, welcome to the program.
Morning, Julie, and to your viewers.
Thank you. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
Correct.
Oh, brilliant. Now, you're the civil principal attorney at Legal Aid South Africa, and you're based in Fox Street, Johannesburg. Who qualifies, even though we've had legal aid here before, who would qualify to come in for a bit of information, perhaps? They just need some legal information without consulting with an attorney, which costs a lot of money. Could they just walk into your walk-in center and ask for some assistance?
Yes, we do provide for legal advice to walk-in clients. If ever it's legal advice seeking, we don't have to complete the means test. We can give advice to any member of the public.
Directly face-to-face?
Yes, we've got paralegals who are actually there to give legal advice to members of the public. Should a problem be maybe a bit difficult for the paralegals to handle, then they will seek the assistance of practitioners, that is legal practitioners, attorneys and advocates that are under the employ of Legal Aid South Africa.
Being the civil principal attorney, what would your role be at Legal Aid South Africa?
My role is to manage and coordinate all legal matters, give advice to the legal practitioners that are under my supervision, further engage with stakeholders to make the public, the general public, aware of our services, and also give lectures, public lectures on the services that are provided by Legal Aid South Africa. And further, over and above that, I also do take difficult cases to court and litigate on such.
So you would represent people who come to you for assistance, and because it's complicated, rather than giving it to a junior attorney, you would then represent the person in court?
That is correct.
Perfect. Now, we've come to the end of Women's Month, but that doesn't mean that women's issues will go away, will disappear into thin air. These issues will, I guess, carry on. And one of the very big issues that women face is gender-based violence and maintenance, non-maintenance of perhaps themselves and their children. If someone comes to you with those two issues, possibly physical abuse and withholding of maintenance for themselves and their children, what is the process that they have to undergo?
If they are accessible to our justice center, formerly we call them justice center, now we call them local offices. We've got local offices in almost most of the towns in South Africa, and we've got satellite offices in far-flung areas. they can come into our offices or they can reach Legal Aid South Africa through the call center, which is free of charge, and they will get directives and advice as to, if ever all they seek is advice, they will be advised at the call center. But if they need to see a legal practitioner, they will be directed to one of our local offices within the area where they come from, so that they can get the best advice. Sometimes, like for instance, in situations of maintenance, they don't necessarily need a lawyer, because our courts, they've got offices and officials who are best trained to advise them, because it's administrative in nature, to complete the necessary forms and advise them of all the supporting documents that they need to provide, so that when the maintenance officers and maintenance investigators go all out to go and investigate the slaves and try to save the party or the spouse who's supposed to be providing maintenance for either the spouse and the children, or the children should be notified of a date upon which he or she must appear in court, because maintenance is a reciprocal approach. Either of the spouse is legally obliged to maintain for the children or each other. So to shorten the process, if they are advised properly of all the supporting documents that they are required for their claim to be heard in court, then we cut a lot of red tape, so that when the intended respondent receives the notice or the subpoena to come and appear before court, they already know the claim against them, and they are advised of all the documents that they also need to bring to court, so that the maintenance investigator or the maintenance prosecutor will be able to sit with them and try to find middle ground as to how much and what each party need to contribute toward the maintenance.
When we talk maintenance, in most cases the relationship has broken down so badly, and the fact that the man is not maintaining his wife and children, or just the children, indicates that he's either not interested, or the relationship is so badly damaged, that he's just withholding the maintenance. In certain instances they do it out of spite and to punish the wife and the children. So in a situation like that, the wife is probably afraid for her safety and doesn't want to meet him in court or make any facial contact with the spouse. Is there any way you can protect the woman? Can you go to court on her behalf as legal aid, and she doesn't have to be there at all? Or do you expect her to be in court to possibly answer questions from his lawyer? He is the defendant, obviously, in the case she's the plaintiff here. So is it imperative that she has to be there, or can you represent her in court?
With maintenance proceedings, if ever some elements of domestic violence are also adduced from the consultation with client, the client will be appropriately advised to go to the relevant office at the magistrate court. When you institute maintenance or domestic violence proceedings, the first entry to the magistrate office is not a court of law. It's an administrative process, as I've already indicated, where you go and meet the officers, maintenance officers who are going, or maintenance clerks or administrators who are going.
And they have offices in the courts?
In the court building, the structure, yes. Not the court
not room. The actual courtroom.
Not the actual courtroom, where they will complete the necessary forms. And if the woman, the vulnerable person who's applying for maintenance, informs them of all this violence that is happening, then they will refer her to the domestic violence office, where the necessary forms will be completed. And if it is found that it's a person who is in need of protection, the relevant stakeholders will be contacted, the police will be contacted if she has to be removed, and the social workers will be involved. And if she and the children have to be removed and placed at a place of safety, the necessary natural processes of court will take place, and the woman will be taken to a place of safety.
How seriously do the legal fraternity and the powers that be, how seriously do you take an issue of maintenance? In the past, you know, women struggled for years on end, and they eventually gave up because the courts were overloaded. They still are. They have so many cases on the roll, and out of sheer, I guess they were so exhausted by this process that eventually just walked away from it. Things have changed now for the better. So let's talk about that very positive scenario and encourage women who are due for maintenance to not forget about it, but to go and claim what is rightfully for the betterment of their own lives and the children's lives.
Hence, I've said our legal aid manual indicates that in maintenance matters and domestic violence, we assist the applicant if the other party is legally represented in court or is a person who is legally trained. But again, our manual advocates for protecting the rights of the vulnerable groups. Every case will be judged according to its merit. An applicant will come to our offices, and upon consultation, if we find that this is an extraordinary case where extraordinary measures need to be taken or embarked upon, then it is within ourselves to exercise a discretion and go all out to assist this vulnerable person. Because when I was talking about the administrative part of it being done at the magistrate court, and we will be advising the person to approach the magistrate court and which office to approach, I'm just talking about an ordinary situation where there are no dire needs.
A straightforward case.
Yeah, a straightforward case. But if there is a likelihood that children are in danger, as children are automatically represented by Legal Aid South Africa and the vulnerable groups, which are women, vulnerable women and the elderly, then we will make sure that we put measures in place to fast track and make sure that everything is done with the necessary or reasonable speed expected of us to assist this
and
child.
ensure her safety.
Correct.
Let's go for an ad break. I'm talking to Legal Aid South Africa. We're talking about the whole procedure of claiming maintenance against your spouse and just how easy Legal Aid South Africa is making it for vulnerable and marginalized women to go and claim or put in a claim for maintenance for their and their children's support. Do stay with us. We'll be continuing this discussion right after the ad break. We're talking maintenance claims against your spouse if you are separated or divorced, and for example, if the spouse does not want to come forward and pay the maintenance for you or the children, you do have avenues open to you. For example, Legal Aid South Africa, and they would do everything in their power to assist you in claiming the maintenance due. What happens when this relationship has broken down so badly that the wife prevents the husband access to the children? And because she's done that, he refuses to pay maintenance. How do you come to a happy conclusion or outcome for the couple concerned?
Julie, irrespective of what the problems are between spouses, there is no right for any spouse to withhold contact of the minor children or any relationship between the minor children and any of the spouses of the parents. So it will be wrong of the woman or the wife or ex-wife to unreasonably withhold access to the other spouse. And there is a remedy for any spouse who is prevented from having reasonable contact and access to the children. They can easily approach the family court. Then an investigation will ensue. The matter will be referred to the family advocate, where they will call the parties to an interview and try to find out the underlying reasons. And from there on, they will produce a report which will go back to the family court, and the recommendation of the family advocate in most or almost all cases, it will be taken into cognizance by the courts when the courts are going to make a final stance. Then if after the court makes an order as to how the parties should relate with the children and should give each other reasonable access to the children, the person who is in default now will be in contempt of court, and then they will face the wrath of the law.
If he then agrees to pay all the back maintenance?
And again, actually, let me also clarify the second part of your question, which I have omitted now. And it is every parent's obligation, whether the child is born out of wedlock or in the marriage, it is the obligation of the parents to support their children, whether it's biological or adopted children. And it extends further. If the child is not your biological child, you have not adopted the child, but you have been maintaining this child willingly for a period of time, you cannot just abruptly stop paying maintenance or supporting this child. The caregiver of this child can also approach the court to say, but you have been supporting this child. The court can order you, even if you are not the biological or the adoptive parent, to continue maintaining and supporting this child.
So nowhere in the law can I, as a mother, prevent my husband access to the children if he hasn't paid maintenance. He needs to have reasonable access to the children, and by the same token, he has to do the right thing and make sure that he pays the maintenance on time.
That is correct. And also, it's only the court which can restrict access or any other control of the children, because you as a mother or as a father of the child, if you suspect or you have knowledge that contact between the one spouse and the children is not healthy, maybe basing it on abuse, or maybe the other parent being a drug addict, going to have negative influences on the life and well-being of the child, you need to approach the courts so that an investigation can also ensue. The family advocate will be involved, and the best interest of the children will be safeguarded. They might order for a supervised visitation of the other parent, but if the situation is so bad that even supervised visitation is not a likely reasonable measure that they should put in place, then they can bar the parent from seeing the child.
And despite the fact that they bar the parent under such extreme conditions from having access to the child, that doesn't mean that he stops maintaining the child. He's got to continue the maintenance payments.
Maintenance can never be stopped up until the child is self-supportive, unless if the other party, the father in this case, is not employed, there's no means, and is not willfully not seeking employment. Because there is a flip side to it. A person can be saying, I'm not employed and I don't have the means, but they are employable, they just don't seek employment. That is a different case. The court will judge each and every case according to its merits. And the merits will come from the information which is supplied by all interested parties. If the mother doesn't have first-hand knowledge but has information of witnesses, she can bring witnesses to court to come and testify. And if those witnesses are not willing, maybe because they are friends to the husband, then she can inform the maintenance officer at court of these witnesses who are having this knowledge. Then they will be subpoenaed as witnesses of the court to come and give evidence. And anybody who lies under oath in court is committing perjury and will be criminally prosecuted.
Let's look at the situation. I know recently, over the past couple of years, the courts are very biased, obviously, towards mothers and little children, and they want to do right by them to make sure that they are properly maintained and that the child can grow up in a very, very healthy environment. But let's take a scenario where, let's assume you were married 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and the marriage ended after 10 years, and from that point onwards the children were never maintained on a regular basis. Maybe payments were made to the kids once in a blue moon, once in a while, but not regular payments were made. Kids are now grown up but still not gainfully employed, maybe they're still studying or whatever. Does the mother have a claim against the husband? Can she go to court, to maintenance court, backdate it and make him pay back all the back payments of non-payment of maintenance?
Back payments will only be ordered in court if there was an order made. But for staying all this time not making a claim for maintenance, it means it might look like the mother had the means to support. That's why it is very much crucial that immediately the other parent doesn't contribute towards maintenance. As the mother, as the guardian of these children, you have got a duty on you to go to court and claim maintenance on behalf of these minor children, because they depending on you. They are not yet grown enough to can decide on the course that they should be taking. You as the mother staying with these children need to go to court and make an application against this absent father or this absent spouse who is capable of maintaining and supporting the children.
What if I come to you and say to you that my ex-husband used very devious means in just not paying the maintenance, and every time I tried to engage with him, he broke me down by ending up fighting with me and slurring me, etc. And it was so exhausting emotionally for me that I just walked away from it. But I do know that he's in a very good financial position. He holds a top job. Do I have a claim against him for perhaps 10 or 15 years of non-payment of maintenance?
There's nothing preventing you from approaching the courts. You can approach the courts. That's why I'm saying each and every case will be judged according to its own merits. But it might be difficult for the courts to determine for those previous years as to what was the other spouse supposed to be paying towards the maintenance of these minor children. Because even if I am the biological father of the children, the court doesn't only look at the needs of the spouse or the children. They also look at the obligations that I have, even though every parent's first obligation is the maintenance of the children, but there are other factors which cannot be divorced from the fact that are intricately the responsibility of this person to discharge. So hence, I'm saying my advice is that people should not stay back for a long time without approaching the court. Immediately the need arises, they should come to Legal Aid South Africa offices to seek advice, and they will get the best advice. Or also go to the law clinics at the universities if they are resident next to the law clinics, or any advice offices that are scattered around town.
Or go to your own attorney if you can afford it.
And let me also jump in there. Even if you approach an attorney who's not a legal aid attorney, maybe the woman is in the process of a divorce and they intend to divorce, they don't have the means to pay an attorney. There is a provision, a rule. There are two rules. In the High Court is Rule 43, and in the Magistrate Court is Rule 58, which they can approach the court on affidavit and a notice to say they need maintenance against the other spouse. I'll give you a simple example where the woman is a homemaker, or what we normally refer to as a housewife, and the husband is a businessman. He's got all the means, but he controls the means. These finances are controlled by the husband. So the wife doesn't control the finances, but she wants to divorce. They are married, maybe in community of property to make things simple. They own this joint property, but their wife doesn't have control of the finances. She can approach the court to claim maintenance for herself and the children, and also in terms of in the High Court sub-rule is Rule 43, sub-rule 1 and 6. They can also use those sub-rule 1 and 6 for the court to order the husband to make contributions towards the legal costs of this woman to institute divorce proceedings.
Okay.
And it can be prior to issuing of summons, or immediately after the issue of summons, or after the notice of intention to defend, and the application can be brought two or more than 2 times during the period of the action, as long as there is a need for financial contribution from the other spouse who controls the finances.
Okay, that's where we have to leave it. I'm glad to hear that the window of opportunity is still open to claim back maintenance. And if you want to divorce your husband, we know that if you institute divorce proceedings, it can be a very costly exercise. So legal aid is there to hold your hand, to help you, to fill out the forms and talk you through the process. So all is not lost, and just claim what is rightfully yours. We'll have to leave it here. Thank you indeed for giving women, marginalized women, and women who can't afford it, a glimmer of hope that if they need any legal advice whatsoever and they don't have the means, that's where you come in, and that is Legal Aid South Africa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we move on. So girls, there's lots and lots of hope out there if you need to claim back maintenance, or you need to claim maintenance, or perhaps you're wanting to separate or divorce your spouse and you don't have the means. All you do is look up Legal Aid. They have offices all around the country. Just Google them and they will give you advice free of charge. In certain cases, even represent you free of charge. Stay with us. We now have a mother and daughter team to come in to talk about teamwork of all things. We've come to the final segment of the show this morning, and of course we've also come to the end of Women's Month, but that doesn't mean that we forget women and their issues. They are ongoing. We need to be aware, and we need to be speaking up, speaking out against women and atrocities against women. But not to worry, we're not going to be talking the hard stuff on this part of the interview. It's going to be light and lovely with mom and daughter duo, the lovely Suzanne Franco, who is an author, and her daughter Elle Franco, who is, well, I don't even know where to start. She's been on iTrend a couple of times. She also runs her own DIY TV show and a whole lot more. We're going to ask her to tell us what exactly is it that she does and where she finds the time to do it all. Gorgeous ladies, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Julia.
Thank you, Julia. Lovely to have you. And I actually stole you from iTrend.
You did.
So thank you so much
Zahira, I still love you.
Of course, that message is for Zahira Bam Isma. Okay, lovely to have you here. Maybe I should start with you.
Yes, Julia.
You've been involved in DIY for a long time, and you do a pretty regular slot with Zahira. But how do you fit into a very male-dominated area? I mean, DIY is associated with men.
Oh, good question. Okay, so basically, you got to just believe that it doesn't matter your background, where you come from. If you have a passion for something, you need to hold on to it and don't be told what you can and can't do, okay? Because I believe that you can find a skill or a dream and you can attack it from one angle, but if you got told not to do it, then you're missing your skills, you're missing touching people's lives, and that's what I feel I do with DIY, is women need someone to relate to. Yes, it's nice to watch men do a DIY, and there's lots of male DIYers and presenters, but a lot of the time you can't relate. And you look at this guy and he's busy moving that tool across in the jigsaw, and then a woman goes, oh, I can't do that. But what I like to do is I take it up, you learn the tool, everyone's capable, everyone's able, and you pick it up, you learn it, and by just in 5-10 minutes you are really gunning for your goal and the DIY project, and the next minute the women are like, oh, I can do it. You know what I mean? I can do this. It's not just for men. It's
well,
not
I must
just
tell
for...
you, whenever I've seen women involved in DIY shows, and with due respect to you and other such women, what popped into my head, or pops into my head, is that's just a pretty face that they're showing off there. No ways is she going to be involved in DIY. It's, you know, the rough, macho stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to damage her hands and, you know, stuff like that. And perhaps she also, being a woman, you know, a small, petite framed woman, how is she ever going to perhaps finish the project to completion? She's going to need male muscle to help her complete that task. Your response to that?
No, not at all. I've built tables, I've built shelving units, I've built pot plant stands, I've carried my own tools in and out the car and stuff. You know, obviously when it's too heavy, you just need help, and it could be a male, a female, children helping you. You just need help to carry them. So basically, the thing with DIY is the tools are made so well that they are your help. So they cut the wood. They have different wheeling bins that can help you move it across and everything like that. So basically, I must say that you just need your hands, you need your heart, and you need your brain, and anyone
thank
can do
God
it.
for the advancements in technology.
Exactly. So tools are just so amazing. I always say to ladies, power tools aren't there to be, you know, to be an enemy. They're there to be your friend, and they actually help you get the job done. So learn how to use them, befriend them, respect them, and then, you know what, that's all you will need, basically. And I can show you, there's clamps to hold wood down, so you don't need someone to hold it down. Literally, ask my mom.
Yeah,
when I'm
I've
doing
helped her a few times.
DIY, she comes and gives the tea, and I'm busy clamping wood down and drilling it for a project. So it's great to have help. You can have friends doing it, or it's great to just do it. You can do it on your own, and you are capable.
Suzanne Franco, you are an author. You've written 2 books. The third one is in the pipeline.
In the pipeline.
I've talked with you previously on my show, and it was an absolute pleasure talking about your books. But we're not going to talk your books this morning. We're going to talk mother-daughter collaboration. We're going to talk how women should and must uplift each other. Sometimes easier said than done. But before we get there, when Elle came to you suggesting that DIY is a thing that she wants to explore, and she feels it might be a kind of a calling.
Yes.
How did you feel about it? What went through your mind?
Anything Elle has ever said to me, she studies psychology, I said, do it. TV presenting, do it. DIY, I was just like, this is just another thing Elle wants to do it. And I knew she'd make a success of it because she believes in herself. She believes in her goals. She believes that if you have a passion for something in your life, you can achieve it. So I've always supported her, and can I please add that she has always supported me as well in all my endeavors, all my writing. Yes, no, we do have that relationship, and I often go to her for advice. She's a lot more hip and trendy than I am, obviously, with her age. So I go to her all the time for advice. And if anyone comes to me, even my friends, not just Elle, and says, I'm thinking of quitting my job and doing this, I always advise them, you know what, feel it in your heart. And if you feel it in your heart, you can do it. A lot of women, especially a lot of my friends and women I speak to on a daily basis, they're a bit afraid to make that transition into something that they've been dreaming about. And I'm just here today to tell women that you can do anything is possible. And if you find that you're calling within you, don't let anyone tell you you can't.
Suzanne, that sounds a bit cliched, with due respect to you. We often say this to young people, you know, you can be anything you dream, you'd like to be, you just need to believe enough in yourself to make it happen. But it takes commitment, it takes guts, for want of a better word. It takes self-belief, and more importantly, it takes energy. How do you get to that point?
No, I agree. Like it is a cliched saying, but it is true. What they don't show you is they show you the cliched saying, and they don't show you the amount of hours and the hard work that it takes and the years and dedication. I've been chasing TV presenting for about 10 years, so no one saw me on these odd end jobs that I'd work for free on the weekends just to grab a mic and interview some bands. What they see is me on Home Channel last year on DSTV or on iTrend here interviewing and going, that must be nice. But they don't know the hours of work and the tears and the
knocking
frustration.
of the doors.
The knocking of the doors.
And
yeah.
the you know, rejection.
Oh,
I
yeah.
received lots of rejection with both of my books. But I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. If you truly believe in it and you work hard, you will make it. There is no doubt about it.
I'm a firm believer in that as well, because
Do you kind of, both of you, did you knock on the same doors time and again till they opened, or did you?
well, yeah, we're kind of stubborn, hey, aren't we?
We're both very stubborn.
Put it this way, like before Home Channel did that TV show last year that ran for 2 seasons, Homemade Easy, I already went and auditioned a year before that, knocking on their door. So it's like, yes, so you knock on the same doors, and they said, no, I'm not fit for that sign a talk show. And then I was like, okay. And I see another interview or another audition, and I'm always saying to my mom, going, you have to try, and don't take it personally. You know, it might not be your time or your time to shine or the right job for you. Just because they say no this time doesn't mean they'll say no next time. And the thing is, yeah, it takes 10 years. How long have you been writing?
Well, for me, I was rejected in South Africa because they deemed my book to be too politically sensitive. So I went overseas and published overseas, and then when it was a success there, brought it back here, and then they welcomed it. You see, so if you hit a roadblock, then you just divert and you go another way. The thing is not to give up if you believe in it, and if it's something you really want to do.
Passion.
Yes, your passion.
Elle, you studied psychology. Have you ever practiced?
Every day.
All the time, on everyone I come into contact with. I have a thesis on every
I'm sure I'm talking about going into opening up a clinical practice.
No, well, you know what? I have 2 degrees in psychology and honours in industrial, and I worked for that after varsity at UJ for about a year, and I liked it. I didn't love it. That's the problem. I really liked it, though. It wasn't bad. And then I managed to meet Danny Kaye, remember, on that TV show? And that's where, you know, when your heart pumps, right? And that's where I was like, this TV show, the cameras, the action, the TV presenting, that's where I felt alive. So it was more of, I love this. And then I told my mom and dad, I was like, I need to do this.
So the DIY show on the Home Channel ran for 2 seasons.
Yes, yeah.
Is there going to be future DIY shows that we're going to see you featured in?
Yes, well, they're still running them, and I do inserts on the Home Channel for builders, as I'm a builders ambassador. So it's nice to have that kind of support and backing. But I'm always trying to share my DIY enthusiasm with people who don't know much about it, because that's where I feel they need to hear it the most, you know. And it's also good to connect with DIYers who love DIY just as much as I do, and we have a high five, you know. So I'm on YouTube. I'm always posting about DIY or a tool I like, or guys, did you know you could do this, or what do you think of my project? So it's an ongoing interaction, videos, photos. Hey, I've even done it on radio. Who thought DIY could be done on radio? But I did. I had a radio show where I was a feature, and we'd talk DIY. So you can also chat about it, and people are willing to listen. So basically, I live and breathe DIY for now, but I'm also a voiceover artist professionally. So I do a lot of voices for different videos, radio commercials, but not in this voice. This is my talking voice.
Okay, we're going to ask you to give us a few examples right after the ad break. All right, so in studio with me are the bubbly mom and daughter duo, Suzanne and Elle Franco. Neither one of them are strangers to us here at ITV. Suzanne's been on my show talking about her books, and Elle has featured a couple of times on Zahira's show on iTrend. Stay with us. We'll be doing lots more talking about women and their achievements a little later on. And wow, time definitely flies by when you're having fun. And that's exactly what we're having in studio this morning. With 12 minutes more to go, let's focus a little bit on Suzanne before we have Elle entertain us with accents and much more. Suzanne, your journey up to now, lots of excitement.
Lots of excitement.
Books being launched, has been launched.
Yes.
How are the sales going, by the way?
I haven't really touched base with sales yet. You know, when you launch a book and you have a new release, you're totally focused and engrossed in promotion, getting the word out. You know, the competition in the book industry is huge. So I haven't actually, don't even know what the sales are. And to be honest, I don't even think I'll look at that for a while.
Okay.
I've launched the Soul Force in India, launching it on Saturday this week during Women's Month in South Africa. And then the next stop along the trail I think will be Mauritius. So
perfect.
Hopefully.
So, and a holiday thrown in
Of course,
with it as
who
well.
could go to Mauritius without a holiday?
Perfect, perfect. What does the future look like? I know there's a third book in the pipeline, but you know, once you start on a journey, you really think ahead and you start imagining or planning the future. What does it look like for you?
You know, when I started promotion for Soul Force, it seems to have taken me in a different route than I expected. I found out that I'm doing a lot more talks. I'm being invited to a lot more empowerment sessions. Involved with foundations. Like today I was invited to go to Cape Town just to speak to young people about writing and the importance of reading. So I didn't expect that when I launched Soul Force. You know, I thought it would just be author, promote. But it's really nice because it's something different than I've done before. And I'm enjoying the reader reaction to get someone to come up and say they really enjoyed this part or that part of the book.
And it's amazing how you start a journey in life and then you reach a crossroads, or just how the journey takes you on totally different paths.
Totally.
And all of those experiences enrich your life. The people you meet, the people that share a part of their lives with you.
And they do. And, you know, I'm meeting so many interesting people, and everyone has a story to tell. And I always listen to, because, you know, they like to say, oh, this Soul Force is about Valema, but you know, this happened to me. Yeah. And I love meeting all these people and listening to the readers and just seeing their expression when they talk about their lives and how the book has impacted them.
Let's talk about Suzanne, the mother, the wife, and the homemaker. Mm-hmm. How different is it from this glamorous woman sitting in front of me?
Extremely different. Extremely different. Walking around the house in flip-flops and fetching from school and dropping off and everything. But these books have come at a perfect time in my life when both of my children are grown up and out the house. So, you know, they're both focusing on their career. So I sort of feel the timing is perfect. And I've matured a lot. And I have a lot more to tell my people who listen to me. I have a lot more interesting and life experience than I would have if this book would have been out 10, 15 years ago. So I feel I've matured a lot since then. But that was a great part of my life. I mean...
Elle, how much of inspiration and motivation do you get from your mom? Or have there been other people in your life that has shaped you?
Yeah, I think, again, not a cliche, but I think when you have a solid family life and solid friends around you, that you really feel you can take on the world. And I felt that with my parents and my mom. I've just, you know, grown up watching her, you know, she's also had jobs as well, and getting up and dressing up, and I see her in her suit and her briefcase, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she wants to, I remember her telling us that she wants to start writing books, and we were all like, oh, okay. So I've grown up watching my mom lead the way and go, okay, if you want to do this, do it. You know, if you have to do this, have to do it. And then if you want to follow your dream, this is how you do it. So she has been a huge inspiration to me and so supportive as well. And then also I have best friends, best friends. My mom knows them, 3 of them. We've been friends since we were 10 years old. And it's quite a woman clique, and we also support each other. And we've gone through varsity together. We've gone through primary school together. We've gone through high school together, and just life in general. And I think if you surround yourself with positive, strong, and supportive women, that then you can do that. I'm probably doing what you did for some other people now,
of course,
who are watching me. It's
a
knock-on effect, and you create this environment for just people to flourish and believe in themselves. And honestly, it sounds all like we're trying to sell you something.
No, we're not.
But I promise
true.
you that's how it works. I feel it. I feel it with my mom, the women in my life, even businesswomen like Tanya Fissa. I've watched her in the builders arena, and I've learned from her, and she nurtured me. So even if it's small meetings or long-lasting relationships, you know, women and people in general can empower each other in ways that you probably never thought you could.
Mentorships. What about young people who come to both of you, for example, and ask you to be their life coach or their mentor? What do you believe you can give them? What do you believe you can share with them to enrich their lives?
I think, I've just done it. It was quite a big thing teaching. I teach a lot of DIY and show a lot of those skills, but recently I've embarked in giving voiceover techniques and tips, all right, at a voiceover project. And this lady, she was so talented, but she didn't know how to manipulate her voice on camera and on mic. And I spent like 4 sessions with her, an hour a week. And I think the thing I gave her was just the ability to, she didn't believe in herself. She started the first meeting off with a little bit of a tear here going, I sound terrible on camera, I can't, and I really want to do this. And I was like, whoa. There's no such thing. Let's put in the work. So I taught her the techniques, the breathing techniques. And by the end of the session, she couldn't believe how she sounded on the mic. And that part of just, sometimes all we need is just someone to say, yes, you can.
I mentored a young lady, Maureen Ndlovu, many years ago. And she saw me with my first book published. And she came to me and she said she only has a matric. Could I please read her book for her? And it's called Connecting the Dots.
Wow.
And I did. I gave her instruction, I edited it for her, all for free, just to mentor her. And today she's publishing her second book.
Wow.
And she's coming to my launch on Saturday. And she says to me she's forever grateful because I believed in her. She had a story to tell and she felt like your lady. She felt, oh, my writing isn't good enough. And now she always says to me, Suzanne, thank you. You were the one who pushed me forward and helped her. So that's what we do. We help.
Future plans for you, Al?
Just finishing on that, I think a big thing is women empowerment is just connecting with women and basically, just believe in someone and give back. The thing is, you're so blessed in life with so many opportunities and amazing things happen, you've got to give back. So give to someone who needs it.
Do you think the vast majority of the women are prepared to do that? Or do you believe that
it's all about me?
Yeah, they're selfish because if I share with you, then I'm going to lose my sparkle.
I feel South Africa has that, South Africans have that mentality. Oh, don't take my job, don't take my skills. We kind of, like this in a test. But hey, you know what, there's enough to go around. And I really feel
a sense of lack.
Me giving my voiceover or DIY skills isn't going to take anything away. So you must get rid of that fear. And you know what, you must remember you'll only be blessed and with blessings and moving forward in your career and your path if you give back, because that's why you're doing it. You're not doing it to me everyone. You're doing it to learn and then touch people around you so they touch people around them and
it ricochets.
So you pay it forward.
That's right.
Exactly.
The circle just gets bigger and bigger.
If you're not in it for the passion or giving back and helping others, then get a 9 to 5
All
job.
right, Al, you talk to us about your love for TV, entertaining, voiceovers, DIY. But of course, you have a long future ahead of you. What are your plans? 10 years, 15 years hence?
What are my plans? Do they ever not change? I even told
Lots of TV shows.
What's on the cards? I am loving interior decorating. Always have wanted to be interior decorator, but got shot down because I didn't take art in high school. So that's not
What are you
happen.
going to do about it?
What am I going to do about it is teach myself and fix it and incorporate DIY in with it, because once you make a table, how do you style it up? So that's where I'm going with that. I want to do my own TV show. So that TV show I presented with other presenters and it was other producers, but with my producing and TV presenting skills, I would like to maybe next year gun for a DIY show that South Africa hasn't seen before, and it will be my own.
Can't give away the
great.
theme.
That sounds awesome, and you are a go-getter, and it will happen because you're obviously a very positive, you believe in the power of positive thinking. 2 minutes to wrap up your final words.
My final word is find your voice. Every woman can find their voice, like my character, Valemia, did, and I did. I never knew I could speak publicly. I was always a bit afraid of that. But just find your ability and believe in yourself.
Al, to wrap up, give us a few impersonations of
All
other
right, so
accents.
you want me to do, this is my British accent. It's a little bit, you got to be flowy with it so people think you're really from there. but I can also like go for an American accent. So like I'm sitting here with my mom and Julia, and we just had an amazing time on the set. I can't tell you, like go women's men.
Absolutely precious. Loved it. Loved having you guys
Thank
on the
you.
show. It's been such fun. Hope
Thank
we can
you.
do it again. All the best for
Thank
the book
you.
launch.
Thank you so
All
much.
the best for your future.
Thank you so much, Julia.
And that's where we wrap up. Loved the interviews this morning, very especially the last one. A big thank you to the production team, and as always, please take care on the roads. Till the next time, as always, it is Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.
يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا